Jenny's back.
Back again.
Kind of fitting actually, considering what this video is about. Yes, in case you couldn't tell from the title of this video, it is another Eminem related video. So yeah, as you can see, Jenny is back in my videos.
Clearly loving herself a bit better.
So I apologise on behalf of her if you've missed her being in the videos.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else. I was going to say, do you want a punch? I don't care if you're on camera or not.
And apologies if you don't like her being in my videos. I've got to apologise either way, but
if you don't like me being in the videos, then
she is a part of my life, obviously, so of course I want her to be involved in these videos as much as possible.
Of course.
If and when she can.
I make your freaking video.
But yeah, my last Eminem related video I've just checked it before filming this, it has over 200 views, which is pretty good for video I filmed back in January and uploaded back in January of this year. But that was just me ranking his 11 studio albums. This is going to be me sharing with you my top 25 favourite Eminem songs. Some of these have been released as singles. I think in fact most of these were released as singles. A handful are album tracks. But yeah, this is just my opinion on what I think my favourite, or what I know are my favourite 25 Eminem tracks. The order could change from day to day, but as of when I'm filming this is my list as it stands, and some of these picks may surprise you. Some of the places where I've put them may surprise you, and it also may surprise you that there aren't any songs from well, actually it may surprise you that there's not going to be any songs from Revival on this list, because anyone who knows me knows how much I hate that album.
Hate it, that's a strong word.
I know, there's like one song on it that I love, and maybe two, but the rest is all hot garbage. So yeah, but there is one album that might surprise you that's not getting any tracks mentioned off of it, but if you're an Eminem fan, you'll be able to figure it out. So anyway, let's get into this. Like I said, my opinion. If your favourite Eminem track doesn't make this list, I apologise in advance. But if you have a list you'd like to share, either make a video response or leave it down in the comments below. So
is this too loud?
No, I think it's fine. But anyway, let's get on with this video. Because, you know, as always, we are 3 minutes in and we still haven't shown a single thing. So number 25, I will be jumping back and forth between albums here, obviously. I've done the best I can to put them in order though. But number 25 is going to be Spacebound from his Recovery album. I have a lot of great memories with this album, and I surprised myself when I didn't put more songs off of this on here. But yeah, Spacebound, of course, had to give it a mention. Was released as a single back in 2010. Was one of my favourite Eminem tracks back when it came out, back when I was first discovering Eminem. But obviously has moved down on my list quite drastically. Still in my top 25 though. I think it's a really good track. A lot of Eminem fans may disagree, but I really like it. So of course Spacebound's getting a mention in this video. A lot of you may be surprised that this album that I'm about to show is getting a couple of mentions, songs mentioned off of it, but 24 is Rhyme or Reason off of the Marshall Mathers LP2. I didn't like this album much when it came out. I've been honest about that from the beginning, and I still think this album is just okay. But I do like the first maybe 2 or 3 tracks and love the last 5. So of course, Rhyme or Reason's getting a mention. It has that very nice sample of the um, zombies time of the season on it, which is of course another reason I love the song so much. But lyrically, I think it's one of the better tracks on this album, and it's always been a catchy one for me when it comes to listening to Eminem. So yeah, of course, I had to throw that one in the mix. Number 23, off of the Marshall Mathers LP, the first one, it's The Way I Am, which was also released as a single, and weirdly had Marilyn Manson in the music video. I think at the time Eminem was good friends with Marilyn Manson. He still might be, I don't know. You don't really hear him talk about Marilyn Manson much anymore, but back when this album came out, he definitely talked about Marilyn Manson a lot. But the Way I Am was basically his way of saying fuck you to the media. Yeah, awesome track. And definitely my personal favourite Eminem album. So, spoiler alert, there may or may not be one or two more songs mentioned off of this album. But yeah. Track number 22 comes off of the Encore album, and we're actually going to the song Evil Deeds, which opens this track along with the Curtains Up skit.
Encore.
Yeah. Evil Deeds is, I think, a really good song and a really strong opener for this album. Some may disagree. I know I ranked this album pretty low when I did my ranking list. I actually really do like this album. It's just a shame that 6 months before this album's release, half the album got leaked online. So Eminem had to go back and write and record another half of the album. So that's why it feels like two different albums, like I said in my ranking. But that doesn't mean I don't love this album. I mean, Evil Deeds is absolutely an incredible song, a very strong opening track, and yeah, a really good one. It might surprise some of you that a track off of his latest album, Music to Be Murdered By, is actually getting a mention here, but Lock It Up, featuring Anderson .Paak, is the song I'm going with for number 21. And yeah, it's the only song on this album that's getting a mention in my top 25. Obviously, it came out in 2020. It made my top 10 albums of 2020. But really, this album still hasn't had enough time to compete with the rest of the Eminem's discography to make more tracks be on this list. I mean, Those Kind of Nights featuring Ed Sheeran almost made this list, but it got bumped off the list for, well, Spacebound. So I had to, I wanted to mention something off this album because I actually do think this album is the best work Eminem's done since Encore. And of course there's a 16-year gap between those two albums.
Oh, it's as old as me.
But yeah, anyway, Music to Be Murdered By, what was the track? Lock It Up was the track I mentioned. It's the only one off this album making my top 25, but it's definitely my favourite track on that whole album. Number 20, we're jumping back now to the Marshall Mathers LP, and we're going with the song Bitch Please 2, which features Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Exhibit, and Nate Dogg. Really good track, very strong album track again. Yeah, just an incredible album. any song I mention off this album, I'm gonna say it's fantastic because I
Or
really
incredible because you use that all the time.
yeah, because I really love this album and the song.
Well,
I think the song "Bitch Please" too is one of his more underrated and overlooked songs in my opinion, and maybe one of his best verses on the whole album. But yeah, just really really good. Number 19. Again, we're jumping back to Recovery here, and we're mentioning the track "Won't Back Down," which features Pink on vocals as well. Really good song. I think he opens all of his concerts with that song nowadays.
What song?
Won't Back Down. But yeah, it's kind of, it was his first take on using that heavy guitar riffs, kind of in a song that wasn't sampled or anything like that. And it's around the time he was using a whole band to perform on stage instead of just a DJ with some backing tracks. But yeah, I mean, Won't Back Down, absolutely phenomenal song, and yeah, one that I'm always listening to. But I mean, I could only put it at 19 because I think the 18 songs above it, I do have a few more memories with, and I think are just generally better. At 18, jumping back again to the Marshall Mathers LP2, and we're mentioning the closing track off of this album this time, which is Evil Twin. It's Evil Twin is this 6-minute monstrous track, and it doesn't really have a chorus or a hook or anything. So it's just one continuous song that goes on, and it's basically Eminem using the alter ego of Slim Shady and Eminem going back and forth, arguing and fighting with each other, kind of like a split personality kind of thing. I just think that's really clever. It's maybe my favourite Eminem closing track. Actually, yeah, I would say it is probably my favourite Eminem closing track, because looking at the rest of this list, none of the songs close the album off, so had to give that song a mention. I don't think there's any other songs on this album getting a mention now, but Bad Guy was really close to getting a mention, which is the opening track on here. And then Headlights almost got mentioned as well, which is a song he wrote about his mum. Actually, a nice song he wrote about his mum for a change, because he normally bashes his mum left, right, and centre in his songs. But yeah, that one was.
What was that about?
I don't know. Yeah. I really don't know what that was all about. But anyway, we're going to track 17. And the first time I'm mentioning this album is Relapse. The track off of this I'm going with for 17 is Crack a Bottle, featuring Dr. Dre and 50 Cent. Just recently released as a single for the release of his new Greatest Hits album, Curtain Call 2. Again, when I first discovered Eminem, this at one point would have been my favourite Eminem album. I still think it's still a very strong album. I probably prefer this over Recovery now I'm thinking about it, because I just think a lot of the songs are better. But this is the first album he released after coming out of rehab, and you can definitely tell his lyricism was not as strong on this album. You can tell that the jokes on this album, like you listen to them one time, they're funny, you listen to it again, and it's kind of like, okay, now the joke's over.
Yeah, because it's already been said.
Yeah, but I really love the song Cracker Bottle. I think it's so catchy, and all three artists involved in that song, they all have really, really strong choruses, really strong verses, so really, really good there. 16. Going back to Recovery with the song Not Afraid. At one point in time, that at one point in time it would have been my favourite Eminem song. It was my ringtone when I was a teenager. And it's one of the first songs I heard from Eminem that kind of got me into him, and it was kind of like, okay, this guy, I want to be like this guy, you know, right? But yeah, Not Afraid, off of his Recovery album, really strong song, has over 1 billion views I think on YouTube, the music video, which is like crazy. Like, can I have that many views on one of my videos, please?
No, it will go to your head.
I know.
And you'll think you're amazing.
Yeah, no. Not Afraid comes in at 16. Really, that song's helped me through some really tough times in my teenage years, and so of course I've always got nostalgia for it. And I believe, oh no, there is one more song off of this album that's getting mentioned, but not for a while, so we won't talk about that album anymore. 15 though, we go back to the Marshall Mathers LP, and we're mentioning another album track, and actually a closing track, which I didn't realise until I'm looking at the back of the album now. The song is Criminal, which again, another really catchy one, really one that back when I was a teenager I knew all the words to, which I'm actually very proud of because it's quite a complicated rap to learn. But yeah, no, another one that closes the album, really strong closing track. Actually, there's a lot of really strong tracks on this album. Criminal is one of them. Really good one there. Number 14, we're going to the 8 Mile soundtrack for this one. And actually, the song 8 Mile is the one I'm mentioning.
It's a good song too.
It always reminds me of the scene in the movie. If you've not seen the movie, it's on Netflix. If you have Netflix, it's one of my favourite films, obviously. I did what used to watch it 4 times a week, I'll admit that. But yeah, no, 8 Mile, the track. There's a scene when he's in the film when he's on the bus on his way to work, and he's listening to the beat in his earphones, and he's sort of writing on his piece of paper, and the lyrics, the last few lyrics of each line are being rapped instead of the whole song. I think it's so clever how they've done it that way. But yeah, just really, really awesome.
Really.
Yeah, really awesome song there. It's the 3rd track on the album, and it really does have an impact, especially if you've seen the movie. The impact is a lot bigger on this one, I think, but really good stuff there from Eminem. Number 13, Till I Collapse, off the Eminem Show. A lot of people say this is his last great album, but I would strongly disagree. Yeah, Till I Collapse is a really good song that features Nate Dogg on vocals. Nearly 6 minutes long. It's a long track, but it's well worth it.
It's like your intros.
Yeah, very much like my intros. But yeah, no, absolutely incredible track. There's that word again, incredible.
Can't help yourself.
I know, but Till I Collapse, very strong song. He sort of raps about his influences in hip hop at points as well. Talk about Tupac, Biggie, Rakim, other rappers like that. So, of course, had to get mentioned. But we're staying on the Eminem Show for track number 12 as well, because it's White America that I'm going to talk about, which, after you hear the Curtains Up skit, it goes straight into White America, so I guess it's kind of still the opening track in a way. But another, it's basically his way of giving the finger to George Bush, who I believe was president at the time. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No idea.
But
Don't care.
I don't really care either. But that's his. It's a song that's his middle finger, him giving the middle finger to the president at the time, George Bush, and the way he ran America when he was president. 11.
Cool, what would he do to Trump? What would he do to Trump?
He don't want. He has bashed Trump
Many times.
many times, yeah. Number 11, just missing out on the top 10 spot. We're going back to recovery for this. Another album track with Cinderella Man. One that actually works really well in my opinion. It's got a massive drum beat, very simple kick drum and snare drum beat, which I quite like. But another really clever song in my opinion. One that I would not stop listening to as a teenager. Really, really fantastic stuff. But yeah, no, it's another fantastic song, and one that I could not help but mention, and one also a little bit sad that it didn't crack the top 10. But you know, you can't put everything in the top 10, can you? But that one just missed out. Number 10. We're going back to Encore for this track. Where is it? There it is. We're going back to Encore for this, and I don't think we've come back to Encore for a while. But number 10 is going to be Mockingbird.
Oh, I love it.
Off of this album. A song dedicated to his daughter, Haley. He's obviously used a sample of the song of the nursery rhyme. Mama's Gonna Buy You a Mockingbird, which I think is another reason I love the song so much. Because I thought that was really clever, the way he approached that, and yeah, really awesome song. Really emotional take, and if you've seen the video, I think the video is incredible. Just him sitting at home watching over old home videos. You can tell they're real home videos as well, because Eminem and his ex-wife Kim both look really young in those videos, and there's no way that I just don't think there's any way they could have faked that. So I mean,
besides a whole lot of Botox.
Yeah, I mean, Eminem would have. It was such a clever idea for a video, I think, especially for that song. It was released as a single, as you can tell. But yeah, most of my top 10 was released as singles, except for one song that I'll mention when we get to it. But number 9, coming back to the Marshall Mathers LP here. Number 9 goes to the Real Slim Shady. Maybe the song that when I'm out DJing, people ask to hear the most. When they ask for Eminem, I go, "What track do you want to hear?" I've got everything. They go, "Can you play the Real Slim Shady?" But yeah, everyone loves it. I think if you're an Eminem fan, you definitely like the Real Slim Shady. It's number 9 for me, just because there's other songs that I love more. I do think it's his most played song. I'll give him that, but there are obviously 8 songs I prefer personally over it. The Real Slim Shady is still an incredible song. We've got to get it in there somewhere. That word. But coming in at 8 is the song "Sing for the Moment," another single, which also samples Aerosmith's "Dream On." If you're a fan of that song. I think it's a really clever way of using the sample personally, and of course
I can now listen to this thing without crying.
Sorry?
I can now listen to Miss Thing without crying. It's great. Not that I want to.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sing for the Moment, my 8th favourite Eminem song. I'm pretty set with this top 10 list, to be honest, because I think this has been my top 10 list for a while. Yeah, Sing for the Moment, easily, I think, my my favourite track off of this album. Another single, obviously, and I think everyone always thinks of Without Me when it comes to this album, the Eminem Show, but of course I'm mentioning Sing for the Moment as my favourite track off of this one. For number 7, I didn't want to show this album because it's the greatest hits, but it's the only album with this track on it because it was recorded specifically for this. The song is Shake That, featuring Nate Dogg. Obviously I could have kept coming back to this for every track on here.
That would have got pretty boring.
But it would have got boring, so of course it's the only time I'm mentioning it. Actually I might talk about it a little bit later on, but Shake That featuring Nate Dogg. The animated video for that single, awesome, by the way. Just gonna throw that out there. Love that song so much. So catchy, so funny with the lyrics. And one of the last songs I think Nate Dogg ever recorded with Eminem, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that comes in number 7. At number 6, coming back to the Marshall Mathers LP, and we're talking about the song Drug Ballad on here, which is another album track, the only album track in my top 10, coming in at number 6. I just think it's really funny how he, the lyrics, how he kind of raps about having hallucinations while on drugs, and bashes Mark Wahlberg back when he was Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. I'm being serious.
Are you actually?
I'm being deadly serious. He was in a group called Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Oh my god. That's embarrassing.
But yeah, no. Drug Ballad is number 6 for me. Love that track.
That's embarrassing.
Number 5, we're coming back again to Recovery for the last time. My favourite song on Recovery is the song No Love featuring Lil Wayne. Probably the only song nowadays I like by Lil Wayne, but absolutely incredible. One of Eminem at the time, I think it was Eminem's fastest rap. But definitely probably my favourite Eminem verse of any of his songs. But really, really good fast rap from Eminem, and maybe one of the fastest Lil Wayne's ever rapped as well. The video is also really good as well. Another single there. Number 4, and I believe this is the last time we're coming back to Encore, but taking the 4th spot is the song Like Toy Soldiers. Features samples Martika's Toy Soldiers, but another really strong track, really emotional. And weirdly enough, the music video, how weird's this? The music video from 2004 has Proof being shot down in a drive-by shooting, who was Eminem's best friend, and he gets shot in a drive-by shooting and killed a year later.
That officer gave him the idea.
Maybe. But yeah, really emotional song. One of my favourites. Definitely my favourite on this whole album. But Like Toy Soldiers, absolutely incredible song. Can't fault it, really. Really can't. So that comes in at number 4. At number 3, here, we're jumping back to Relapse for the last time. And the second time in this whole video. But I'm going with the track Beautiful, which is another nostalgic track for me, another single off this album. Actually, an out of place single because it doesn't fit the rest of the theme for this album. But no, he looks like the actor that played Elton John in Rocket Man.
Huh?
He looks like the actor that played Elton John in Rocket Man. But yeah, no, as I was saying before I got distracted by Jenny's game, Beautiful is, well, a beautiful song. Eminem talking about how he just wishes life could be normal and he not get recognised everywhere he goes.
Yikes.
Which obviously is something that he can't do with his status and how famous he is. But it's an absolutely incredible song and one that I wanted to talk about and my favourite track off of Relapse. So yeah, there's that. So number 2. For the last time in this video, we're jumping back to the Marshall Mathers LP with the song Stan. Now, I'm going to throw Curtain Call in here as well because it does have it has a version of Stan that's again only on here, and I don't know which version of it I prefer, because Curtain Call, the hit, has a version of Stan that's performed live with Elton John, and then there's the album version with Dido, or that features Thank You.
Shut up. Dido's version.
Is he finished?
I mean, seriously, what is the point in being that loud?
Yeah. Anyway,
I like Dido's version, as I was saying.
As I was saying, Jenny likes Dido's version. I like Dido's version as well, but I don't know if I prefer the Elton John version or the Dido version.
Oh yeah, definitely the Elton John.
I do always come back to the Dido version. I definitely listen to that one a lot more. But Elton John's version, when they performed that live, I can't remember which award show it is. It's just, the name of it's escaping me. But when they performed that live, and if Eminem everyone thought at the time Eminem was a massive homophobe. So when he brought out Elton John on stage, who was openly gay, it really surprised everybody, and it was a massive shock to everyone. But obviously,
He's not homophobic.
Yeah, it just shows he's not homophobic. He just raps about being homophobic in his lyrics, because it adds to his style at the time, obviously. But Stan, very good song, and it's Eminem's message to a fan, and it also made Stan, it's an abbreviation of stalker fan, and it's even put the word in the Oxford English Dictionary. Fun fact there for you. Stan, an abbreviation for stalker fan. So it's in the Oxford English Dictionary.
Yeah, I
as an
didn't know
actual
that.
word.
I just thought Stan was a name.
But yeah, he obviously it's him. The whole way through the song Stan, you hear a pen sound effect writing on paper. It's a fan writing to Eminem, and then the last verse is Eminem writing back to the fan. Not after the fan's committed suicide. Very heartbreaking song, but also very good song as well. So, what could be my number 1? I think if you know me, you know what my favourite Eminem song is.
Coming.
I think even Jenny should know this before I even mention it.
It's a coming.
That's not the name of it, but fair enough.
I know it's not the name of it. I was waiting for you to say it because, you know, you're the one filming.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just in it.
Do you want to introduce the song or not?
Nope.
No? Anyway. So Jenny don't want to introduce the song, so that's fine, I'll do it. But
I just heard that.
Nicking the number 1 spot for my favourite Eminem track, and this will never change. It's Lose Yourself off the 8 Mile soundtrack. It opens this album, it closes the movie out very nicely. It's the first Eminem song I ever heard, and the song that made me want to check out more of his music. That's when I went to songs like went to the Recovery album because that had just come out at the time, and then I sort of went backwards from there. But yes, Eminem, Lose Yourself. Lose Yourself is the song that made me only listen to Eminem or artists that had an association with Eminem. So like Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, Jay-Z, Obi Trice, who's on here. Yeah. D12, obviously. Bad Meets Evil, all that good stuff. But yeah, Lose Yourself always has been my favourite Eminem track. Always will be. I think lyrically it's his cleverest song.
Cleverest?
Yeah, it's also his...
It's the most clever song.
I think it's maybe his most simple while still being complex song. Like he rhymes, he doesn't just rhyme the last word, he rhymes syllables at the end of each line, but he also rhymes words in the middle of each line as well. That's kind of what Eminem does, he rhymes within a rhyme. And it showcases his lyrical ability the best in Lose Yourself. He wrote the song while on set and still in the character of being the character Jimmy Smith or B Rabbit, the name of his character in 8 Mile. Really, really awesome stuff. I cannot put anything above that song. For me, it will solidly stay as my favourite Eminem track. In fact, I'm pretty certain my top 10 will remain as is. So yeah. So with that said and done, I know it's a bit of a long video. 37 minutes. I know we're getting there, but that is the end of the video. I know I may have rambled on a little bit, but for those of you who haven't seen it, definitely go and check out my ranking of Eminem's 11 studio albums, and if he brings out another one, I'll redo that list and see where that new album places, obviously. But for now, thanks so much for tuning back into the channel. If you enjoyed this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. I know it's a long one, but thanks for bearing with me. Thank you always to Jenny for being in the video and sharing her comments and thoughts and stuff like that. Always appreciated. So yeah guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you all again very soon. Bye!
Bye!